All right, welcome back, everyone. Lovely to see you all as always. And let's begin by going straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state however you normally do that. By using your word or phrase or your anchor, or by focusing in on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. Start to feel your heart opening, that expansion feeling in your chest. Allowing that light, that energy to shine out from you. And then allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. Now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to fill yourself as a child, any age. Love that child just for existing, no matter what. Very good. And then allow that light or energy to overflow from that child, that little you, and fill your whole childhood. Shining that light into any darkness, filling everything, everyone, every experience, every event, every circumstance. And feeling the empowerment of that little you as you do that. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill everyone who's on the call today. All those who are on camera, all those who are off camera today, loving each one just for existing and no matter what. Very good job. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed. And let's check in with each person, find out how you're doing. So Katrina, you're first up on my screen. What have you got for us today?
Hi, Odile. The connection is really bad.
Oh, can you hear me all right now?
Odile, this is not going to work because you're stopping and starting.
Okay, all right. So Katrina, if you want to put your question in the chat, put your question in the chat and I'll answer it for you.
Okay.
All right, good job. Okay. And for everyone else, I see Steve has put it in the chat. And so just to let those who are watching the video know as well, the commotion in the background, the noise in the background is because we have carpenters here today doing some work. So if you hear unusual sounds in the background, that's what that is. All right, so next up on my screen is Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Hello. Okay, so this is on this one, page 65. Okay, so it's about the lack of what you want, not getting what you want is the darkness. As long as you fear that, it will stay with you and it will stay dark and it will allow you in that thing you want. When you love that lack, when you love the fact that you don't have what you want, you're releasing it, you're shining a light on the darkness. That releases it and transforms it into light, allowing what you want. So that, I thought that was good because you can shine dark on light on anything.
That's right. Thank you, Lisa, for that reminder, because that is the bit that people struggle with, and it's natural, you know, it's human nature, and I struggled with it to begin with. The idea of loving what you don't want, or the fact that you don't have what you want, because that can feel like, you know, encouraging more of it, but it is exactly that, shining light into the darkness. So it just takes practice. So thank you, Lisa. Very good sharing, as always.
Thanks.
All right. And then Sue. Hi, Sue.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm going to switch myself off just now because my husband's going to come home and I have to make supper and everything. But I just wanted to tell you that yesterday I spent a lot of time, I went out for quite a while, and I spent a lot of time just sending love balls of energy to my son.
Good.
And in the beginning it was sort of like pretending, but then it felt more and more like it was for real, until I could really see him. Oh, I might cry.
Good job.
See him with, like love. And then he phoned yesterday. He called.
There you go. Isn't that fantastic?
And we spoke for about an hour.
Very good. Isn't that amazing, Sue? Isn't that amazing? And so what's very important now is to bookmark that. You can journal it, or you can just practice remembering it so that you have it as a reference for any future experiences.
Yeah.
Not just with him, but with anybody, where you know that and I've had that exact experience with my son. Because my son's not the most communicative in the world, and and naturally, because I'm human and I'm a mum, I worry. But I started doing that a while ago, where I just, whenever I think of him, I send love, and regardless whether he contacts me, he doesn't contact me, whether he's going through challenges or not, everything exactly is. And when I do that, usually I suddenly hear from him out of the blue, unexpected. And so this goes.
And he was just looking so beautiful.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes. And so that is a fantastic example of what's possible using this technique. And when you get it to the point where you're able to love the person, the thing, the situation, the event, exactly as it is, without needing it to change, that's when it changes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sue, because I know it will help and encourage others as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And well done, you. I'm so proud of you, because I know it's hard to do. So
yeah, and it was just, like I wasn't actually sort of like getting, I wasn't sort of focusing on a subject or anything like that for love. I really wanted to be able to draw that, I don't know what you call it, like love energy from the universal love energy kind of thing. And so that's just how I was sort of like feeling it, or pretending to feel it.
That's it.
Until it became real.
And that's another great point that you've made, is if you can't feel it, don't stop. Just pretend until it becomes real. So thank you for demonstrating that as well, and giving such a great example of it. So that's key for everyone to remember. If you cannot feel your superpower or the love or whatever it is, pretend until it becomes real, until you do start feeling it, because your brain will start to produce those chemicals. Even if it doesn't feel, as long as you keep your focus on it, your brain will start to produce those chemicals. It just takes a little longer sometimes. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue. I'm so proud of you, so thrilled for you. Good job. And thank you for sharing.
Help.
Very good. You're very welcome, sweetheart. All right. And Swasti. Hi, Swasti.
Hello.
Hey, how are you today?
I think this is quite big news, but I don't know, it could turn out to be not so big. But so the issue I had with my exam, like with everything, like the technical stuff. So it turns out that it wasn't just me. Everybody, like half the people who sat at home had that too.
I suspected that.
Yeah, so like I didn't think of that because I just blamed it on myself. But my friend who sat at a test center literally yesterday, she said, "Why don't you just call them up and ask, or like just see what's happening?" So I'm actually like the phone's going on over there. Like I've been on the queue for like 3 hours, but at least that gives me some ray of hope that I could take it again if they allow me to. But, yeah.
Okay, and so now this is a great opportunity to use the unconditional love, to use your power, number one, and to make sure of your motivation for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to end up with is you'd like to take it again because you'd like a higher score, but not because you need it.
No, I don't need that. Yeah.
Good. So that's good. And to be okay if they say no, or if there isn't a way to do it. I suspected that would be the case, and if not, if you weren't going to ask that you would hear from somewhere that you're able to do it again. So that's great. But if it's not, that's also okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's amazing how you just block out things.
Yes.
Like at the time of, if you find something horrible, then you just block out the opportunity of taking it again or something. Yeah.
And that's the survival mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
That's because if there's a tiger and some fruit, we want to be sure we're focusing on the tiger so that we survive in order to enjoy the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as the tiger's still there, we won't take our eyes off it because we die. So that's why that's so intense. And that's why everything else is blocked out by the prefrontal cortex going offline and the blood going to the back of the brain, the amygdala, in order to make sure we survive. And of course, that's just translated to everything in our lives, emotional situations and exams and relationships and all kinds of things. So it's brilliant that you managed to override that and that you managed to bring those stress chemicals down, and then you were open to, because also even if your friend had suggested that while you were still in that stressed state, you may not have bothered to do it. You may have thought, no, they won't, or I can't ask.
Yeah.
You would have come up with all kinds of reasons why you shouldn't.
Yeah, yesterday she suggested it to me, and yesterday I said no. Then today she was like, you should just try, what's the harm? No. Yeah, they suggest, like another one suggested it on the day that I got this score. And then yesterday and then today. Yeah, I could see that.
Exactly. Good job. I'm so proud of you, so excited for you. And I'm excited for you, not just because there's a possibility of redoing it, that would be lovely, but the main thing I'm excited for you about is the progress. The fact that you've managed to, create that kind of option for yourself, whether it pans out to be the thing or not.
Yeah.
Good job, Swasti. And thank you so much for sharing it as well.
Thank you.
Very good. And did you have any questions for today?
No, I just have a lot of pending work to do that I know what to do, but I just need to do it.
Okay, good. Very good. And how are you feeling today about the planning and the what we were talking about yesterday?
Well, I haven't really got to that. I have so much to do. It's suddenly like coming at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's also waiting for people to reply to me, and I don't like that because I feel powerless in that.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. All right, so people replying to you. So let's see if we can just sort that out right now, because that's going to be affecting a lot of other stuff. So the feeling of no one replying to you, what's that feeling? What's wrong with that?
Well, I think it's on 2 levels. So it's like admission stuff. So obviously, like they have to search through hundreds of emails every day. So that's kind of understandable. But when people like who I thought were friends, they read my messages and then they don't reply, and then I think, oh, okay. So that makes me feel like unimportant.
Unimportant. Very good. And of course, that goes back to being unimportant enough to be left behind. Right?
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
So again, just check those memories of being in India. And there will have been times, it's not just your parents leaving and that airport situation. There will have been times myself included, when you think about the fact that the parents left during that time. So there will have been days where you felt like, why are they not here? Or, you know, you would have really felt the feelings of the fact that they left in whatever context that was for you. And so as we go through challenges, so for example, for me, my dad left when I was about 3 years old and disappeared. So I grew up without a dad, and there will have been lots of these memories, but I have certain moments that I remember. They probably aren't specific real memories, but they're memories of memories, if you know what I mean. So the knowledge that this happened, without many details, of feeling alone, feeling nobody cares, and then the fact that my dad left, you know, I couldn't have been that important, because surely he would have at least found out how I'm doing, you know, that kind of thing. How can I not hear from him? And of course, the brain gives that meaning. And so I know that there were lots of times of lots of crying and feeling abandoned or, you know, unimportant, that kind of thing. So if you have any of those, if anything comes to mind, change them. And if you have them, you can change them. If you don't have them, it doesn't matter. Either way, in addition, add in new memories of your parents there at key points throughout that time.
Okay.
Whatever experiences you remember with your grandparents and your aunt, put your parents in.
Okay, that's good.
All right, yeah. So you can put your parents in addition, or you can replace your grandparents and your aunt with your parents. You can do both, doesn't matter, but make sure your parents are there all the way through.
Okay, that's something I haven't done. I think it's also, I mean, well, this is coming up now, so I guess it's recurring, but it's like calling them on the phone.
Yes.
And like asking, just like expecting, yeah, we're coming, and then they don't come.
Oh, well, that'll be huge. Yes. So you may want a stepping stone there where you phone them, or you're on the phone with them. You ask, when are you coming? And you get what you expect. They say, yes, we're on our way. We're at the airport or whatever. We're on our way. And so there's that. And then I would add in an extra thing where an extra stepping stone where they turn up unexpected. So you were only expecting them next week, and they or tomorrow, and they turn up now. And it's like, oh, I didn't know you were coming. And then, well, we thought we'd surprise you. We missed you so much that we couldn't stay away. So again, those are stepping stones, different pieces of data. And then, of course, the final memory, you want to change it to where when you were on the phone with them, they were in the car, they were next door, they were, you know, they're there. So you happen to be on the phone with them, and perhaps things like, why are you phoning me? Just, you know, I'm in the next room, something like that, like joking, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
Very good. Good job. So make it, and this is for everyone, make your childhood rich with connections with your parents. No matter whether they were there or not, no matter what they were like, make it rich with lots of, and you don't have to practice every single memory over and over, because that can be overwhelming, but you want to create these and then practice generally, you know. So just a moment of being with your parents and them hugging you, a moment of them walking in to surprise you, a moment of you walking into the room and them going, oh, there you are, stopping everything, dropping everything to pay attention to you. Those little moments, it doesn't have to be strict, it doesn't have to be exact, as long as you are cultivating that feeling of connection. I'm important, I'm safe, I am the center of their world. How does that sound, Swasti?
Yeah, that sounds like a piece that was missing, that needs to be there.
Very good. So thank you very much for bringing this up, because there will be other people who are missing that piece as well. So that's wonderful. And I wanted to share something extra with you that I watched on YouTube a TEDx talk by a neuroscientist and researcher. And it was about a whole lot of stuff, but I wanted to share this piece with you and anyone else who is, wanting to improve comprehension or understanding or learning anything or problem solving of any kind, is that, and this is something I've known anyway, and I've known from my own experience very much so, but also this just kind of puts it into a scientific context, neuroscience context, is that the way our brains are designed is, the point he's making is why the human brain is better than a computer and the differences. And because people tend to, compare.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the fact that our brains are not as fast, they're much slower than a computer, they're not as smart as a computer. Those facts are the reason our brains are better than computers, because we are able to come up with new ideas which a computer cannot. Computer can only use the algorithms. But the point I'm getting to is the reason we can come up with those new ideas, the reason we can find alternative solutions that we haven't seen before or that haven't been thought of before, is because we make mistakes and because we're able to think outside of the parameters. So, and one of the ways this works is by taking your focus off the problem. So, like he was saying, if you ask most people where they come up with their best ideas, it's in the shower, it's while driving, it's while doing housework, it's while walking, while doing other things, usually mundane things that have nothing to do with the problem. And it's because the brain is then able to pull that different, or pull back and get that different perspective, that alternative, and think outside of the box, outside of the parameters. So when I'm learning new stuff, when I did the neuroscience course, all of that kind of thing, I knew that I would, absorb the information for a while, and then I would naturally switch to something else. So I would check emails, go to Facebook and answer questions, or go for a walk, or do something completely and even if it's just for a moment, then come back. And so that's the way I constantly learn or write or, do anything, is back and forth like that. So I take a break every few minutes and do something that's undemanding, back and forth. So hopefully that will help as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Good. Because our natural tendency is to think, oh, I've got to focus.
Yeah.
Concentrate, I've got to keep my focus on this issue or this thing that I have to do. But the truth is, it's back and forth and back and forth. And each time you come back with new perspective, new resources that you didn't have before when you were focusing on the actual issue.
Wow, it's really changing perspectives of like conventional things that people think. Wow, that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason is because those conventional, that conventional knowledge came from old information of how the brain works.
Oh yeah.
They didn't have the equipment and the studies that we have now that tells us how the brain works. So that's why. So the old, perceptions, the old ideas, but they've stuck. And this is another, sorry, just very quickly, this is another really interesting part of new neuroscience that has been, researched and discovered, is that false beliefs are the way false beliefs work. So you can be told something, and when we learn stuff, when we learn something from an experience or, something we hear, what the brain does, if the brain considers it important, when it moves it to long-term memory, it separates the data. So it separates the details. So we'll remember something, but we won't remember the context. And so with false beliefs or false information, this is what happens. So you read something or someone tells you something, and in that moment, it seems to be true. So you hear it, your brain processes it in that way and puts it into long-term memory. And as it goes into long-term memory, it takes out the details and you hold on to that fact, that so-called fact, then later you find out that's not true. Your brain won't be, your brain will hold on to the fact that it's true. You'll still automatically think it's true, even if you consciously comprehend oh, that came from false information or false data. Your brain will still automatically, that's why beliefs like I'm not good enough are there, because even though we were told you are good enough and that's not true, and you do the affirmations, your brain has held on to the fact that you're not good enough, even though you've since found out that the source of it wasn't reliable.
Yeah.
Yes?
That's really cool.
Yes,
That's
very
so interesting.
Thank you, Swasti, for sharing your challenges so that we can all, everybody can benefit from them. Good
Thank
job.
you.
You're very, very well. All right. And Katrina, you're back. Are you, let's test you. Can you speak?
I'm here. Yeah.
Yay. And how's it for you from your end? Are you able to hear us better now?
Yes, I can. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Great. So what's your question today?
Well, I don't have a question because, well, I was talking to Steve and then it was sort of everything up in the air, and then I lost contact, and then it's like, is it all irrelevant? Because I have no question.
Okay, all right. Would you like some? Let's check in with. So, Steve, can you remember what Katrina's question was? Because I came on just as you were saying, well, Odile will answer that.
Well, I would just ask Katrina if the trigger that she had mentioned earlier is dissipated. Did it go away?
The weekend trigger. Yeah. If I think about it now, yes, yes.
Okay. So the other question is the reference that's there in childhood, does that still exist? Have you rewritten that story?
No, because I've only just got that story. But because I was, say, 16, 17, when my mother was accusing me of something, and then I couldn't speak and tell her she totally got it wrong. So there was an occasion with my mom, an occasion with my dad, but I was that 16, 17, I was wanting to know, how do I get to an earlier? This is where Odile comes in that. Can I read this wee tiny bit to you, Odile, and then see?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So it says here, so I was not allowed to answer back or have an opinion. I was not allowed to defend myself. My opinion, how I felt, was unimportant to them. And I was being punished and made to feel bad when I was totally innocent. And that was the same this weekend. I was totally innocent.
Yes.
And yet.
Oh boy, yes. Okay, this is a very important topic and it applies to most people. So that idea of I'm not allowed to defend myself, that is huge and it's very, very powerful. And again, because most children are raised with discipline, and because a lot of parents are stressed and dealing with their own stuff and everything, that thing of not talking back, not being allowed to defend yourself, that is massive. And in fact, something I wrote years ago, and it was parents talking about spanking their children. And one of my favorite answers for pro spanking is, well, I was spanked and there's nothing wrong with me. And that's brilliant, because of course, so my answer to that is, do you have the relationship you want? Are you wealthy as you want to be? Are you healthy as you want to be? In other words, do you love your life? Are you living the life of your dreams? And most people in general are not anyway. Certainly those who were spanked are unlikely to be, because it's not about the spanking. In this case, it's not about the being accused. It's not about the, the reaction from the parents in the first place. It's the message that I am not allowed to fight back. I'm not allowed to defend myself, whether that's being spanked. So when a child is being spanked, they're not allowed to hit back, which goes completely against survival. It goes completely against what would happen if somebody actually came up and hit you. So it's programming that child with the idea of people are allowed to do something to me and I am not allowed to object. Not even, it doesn't even come to defending. I'm not allowed to object to being treated in a way that hurts, whether that's hurting physically or emotionally or mentally. And so that program, of course, supports a whole bunch of stuff of not worthy, not safe, not lovable, all of those kind of things. So this thing of not allowed to fight back or not allowed to defend yourself when you're accused of something you didn't do, there's that piece. And then the other piece that comes into play is not able to, not having the words, not having the ability to put the information together to go, oh, this matches that, and this is why, or this is why it happened, or this is why I didn't, or this is how, So we don't have the ability, the cognitive ability to do that, especially when we're younger. So to answer your question, Katrina, number one, thank you for sharing this, because this is huge for a lot of people. And number two, how did you know you weren't allowed to? So let's take the 16-year-old one. That's okay. And we'll get to the earlier ones maybe. And if we don't, your subconscious will do it automatically. But how do you know that you weren't allowed to defend yourself? What experiences did you have of that?
You just knew that. You just wouldn't dare to give an opinion. You just had to listen, and that was there was enough authoritarian stuff going on that you were too scared of that to actually defend yourself.
Yes,
there's too much of that. Good.
Now, if you have one? Do you have an early memory of experiencing that authoritarian, that whatever that is? Of learning that. And the first thing
is this too afraid to speak? Yeah, or stand up? Yeah.
Yep.
It's probably the boarding school. You definitely wouldn't have, the head mistress or whatever, you definitely wouldn't have given an opinion or stood up to her.
Very good.
Not
and
that
before you went to boarding school, at home, did you ever speak out? Do you have any memories of speaking out or contradicting what was being told to you or said to you?
My brothers would have spoken out or would have pushed Mummy, and then they would have been whipped with the crop. So
well,
I would have witnessed.
Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so there's that. So witnessing siblings or anybody doing something, and then something as scary as watching someone being whipped with a crop, that'll install that fear. Right? Now, were you ever whipped with the crop or with anything?
No.
Okay. So you weren't, so you weren't the receiver. Now, like I'd said to someone else in a previous episode, that can be worse. And worse, by worse, I mean that can instill a bigger fear, because it's a fear of the imagination. So you're looking at someone experiencing something scary, and it can create a more scary impression in your brain than if you had received it. Very often, we're very, very visual. And very often watching something can make it worse than if we'd experienced it. So, because your brain goes, I must never, I'll die. I must never do that because that can't happen to me because I'll die. Make sense so far?
Yes. Yeah.
So I would say that's where it is. Certainly that's a big part of it. So you want to change those memories, whatever memories are there, and then create new ones from scratch as well. So the memories of witnessing that happening, witnessing them speaking out and them getting whipped with the crop, you want to change that to something different. So you may want, I would say, a stepping stone where and you could do either way. You could do, depending on what feels good to you, you could do a stepping stone of where your mom has the crop and then she goes, okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have threatened you or whatever. So she backs down. And then a stepping stone of, excuse me, where your brothers are being cheeky, they're speaking back, they're doing whatever, and your mum tells them to stop. So she doesn't, there's no crop or anything. She goes, okay, that is not acceptable. And they back down. And then the final memory is that she encourages them to speak out. Well, what do you think? Okay. And they have a conversation. They have a discussion where they are allowed to say what they think. And in fact, they're encouraged. And then sometimes your mum goes, oh, you know what? You're right. Yes. And so she gives it. Okay. And then, so that's that. And then the new memory, create lots of new memories. And by lots, I mean, as many as feels good to create this feeling overall that your parents are always saying to your brothers and to you. So what do you think? And you walk in, you go, listen, I need to say something. And they go, yes, of course. What is it? So you want to make it, of course, the opposite, positive and empowering, where your voice matters and there are never any bad. So not only are there no bad consequences for speaking out, you're encouraged to speak out.
Okay.
How does that sound?
There is one memory of us being in the pub, and mum and dad got together. I mean, and that was very terrifying to see the two of them. But I don't know how to change that because it's double power of being really, really.
So the two of them got together and did what? Sorry.
Telling us, well, we basically had told them we were somewhere and we actually were in a pub. That was like being in hell. I don't know. It was so bad. Be anywhere but be in a pub.
Right.
And just I've never witnessed my dad so angry, so out of control with whatever.
Okay.
So I don't know how to change that.
Good one. That's a good one. So what you want to end, so again, stepping stone memory, where they come in, they go, oh, why didn't you just tell us you were here? Right? You could have told us. It's okay. We've been worried. Right? So stepping stone. Final memory is that they were meeting you there. And you're all going to be in the pub together. Or maybe it's a surprise. Maybe a surprise. That's why they didn't know where you were, because you were there to surprise them. It was a surprise party, something like that. That's the end result you're aiming for. Now, to get to that, of course, the reason they reacted that way is because of their programs, their fears, whatever was going on inside them, right? Their beliefs, their fears, their worries. So you want to change that. You want to change their childhoods, however they learned that being in the pub was so bad.
Right. Okay.
Right. So whatever's there, so that they were much more relaxed, and their parents were in pubs and they were in pubs, and a pub is a fun place to be, right? You can add live music, you can add games. So they're playing, what the games you play in pubs are pool and darts and those skittles and all kinds of stuff, right? They're going to have the time of their lives in pubs.
Okay.
How does that sound?
I'll do my best with that one, but that's
Okay.
a good one to change, yeah.
Yes, absolutely, because that made a huge impression on you. And again, danger. So, you know, one of the things to remind everybody as well, one of the things you can change shouting to, you know, when somebody's shouting or arguing, is you can change it to singing or laughing. So that it's still a sound, it's still a loud sound, but it's a good loud sound. It has happy connotations. So it's singing along to the music, or it's laughing, right? How does that sound? Is that good?
Great. Yes, yes.
So do whatever it takes to end up with that. And you may need due justice, you may need to use the allowing technique, whatever will get you to that end result. But that's definitely, so I would do the whipping first. The brothers speaking out, do that first, because that's earlier. And that will be your first reference, because when your parents found you in the pub and they reacted that way, your brain in that moment was referring to all the whipping memories and producing the stress chemicals in that moment. Because if you didn't have a reference for this anger and the danger it produced, the danger it represented, the physical danger it represented, you could have just gone, whatever, they're upset. Shame, I feel sorry for them, right? Because you wouldn't have any reference for it being dangerous, but because of those earlier memories. So that's why you want to change those whippings of your brothers first, the way I described it.
What could you change whipping to? What could you change that to?
The whipping can
whipping
be,
to...
yeah, so it can be playing a game. It can be sword fighting, you know, playing with sword, like plastic swords. It can be high-fiving. It can be, you know, a board game or swimming. I mean, it can literally be anything, and making it physical activity just helps that, that process a little bit.
So it's her action then, of her giving him a high five.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, high five or dancing or, you know, playing tennis.
Okay.
Whatever feels like it'll work for you, and whatever will feel fun and exciting. So you want to make sure that those feelings of a game, fun, you know, a fun activity, that kind of thing, and connection, lots of laughter. All right.
Yes, brilliant.
Tickling is the other thing that it could be, you know, if that feels fun. Tickling would not feel fun for me, but for some people it is. Or a water fight with water guns, running around, screaming, because then you got the screaming and the laughing and the shooting of the water, and, you know. So again, remember that your subconscious won't question anything.
Yes, what's going on here is she's wanting to punish, so she's not punishing, so it's like, if you've done wrong and you're going to be reprimanded, how do you change all of that to...
Yes, that's why the earlier stepping stone memories. Okay. So the stepping stone memories are where they've done wrong, and she tells them, okay, that is not acceptable. Okay. She does it kindly and with compassion, and they automatically go, okay, sorry, mom, or whatever, something like that. They understand and they comply. That's a stepping stone memory. Then the next stepping stone memory is that they speak out, they do whatever, and she says, okay, yeah, I understand. Tell me why you think that, or something. So she encourages them to explain. And then the final memory is, and then she says, oh, okay, I see you have a point. Yes, all right. So she gives in, and, well, not gives in, but she understands. Okay. And then the final memory is whatever that activity is.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yes, absolutely fantastic.
Yay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. And you've got some thank yous in the chat as well, because that's helping others as they're listening as well. And Ilya has suggested playing charades or charades, however we pronounce that. And that's another option for those to change the activity to playing charades. All right, very good. And then I have a question from someone who sent me a Facebook message. So I just want to get that in so that I don't forget. So where did I copy paste it to here? So the question is, I want to future pace myself to certain feelings of proud of my children, joyful, grateful that it has all worked out with peace of mind. Could you give me some tips on the best ways to do this? Suggestions that can be easily practiced. Okay, so yes, I can. So the first step, and she says, sorry, I know this is probably a question I've asked before, and that's okay. I can't remember if you've asked it before, but whether you have or not, there's never a problem asking a question again. Always feel free to, and especially because now, if you have asked it before, we didn't have this new technique before. So this is a new opportunity. And so start with the allowing technique. And you can do it right now because I think you are on the call. So start with the allowing technique with how does it feel where you are right now? So you're worried, or you wish that things were different with your children, whatever's there, whatever exists right now for you when you think of your children, allow the sensation. So think of your children, notice what's there, and notice where in your body you feel it and what that physical sensation is. So again, for a reminder for everybody, you can put your hand on your leg and feel the physical sensation on your hand, the physical sensation on your leg. So you're helping your brain home in on the physical sensation without giving meaning to it. So how does this, however you currently feel about your children, how does it feel in your body? What sensations are those? And home in on the sensations themselves and allow those to be there. It's okay to feel that. So however that's represented in you, it's okay to feel it right now without judgment, without giving it meaning, without needing to change it or stop it. Just allow it to be there. And as you allow it and give yourself permission to feel it, notice what happens. As you allow those physical sensations, what happens? And then as that shifts, then you want to find out where in your childhood did you feel this same feeling. So bearing in mind, whatever you are, so I will get to the future pacing bit, but future pacing without changing those childhood memories is not very effective, because every time you try and every time you do that, your subconscious will be referring to your childhood that proves you need to feel this, whatever this, the worry, the stress, right? So it's that is the answer, and you need to do whatever it takes to get to that. So where in your childhood did you feel the same feeling of whatever this feeling is, the stress, the worry, the whatever's there? And in addition to that, you may have witnessed something that is providing the reference for these feelings now. So it's not about your children. It looks like it's about your children, but it's not. It's about what happened to you or what you witnessed when you were a child. So you change that to the opposite, positive, empowering, practice it, create brand new memories from scratch if you need to, or if you'd like to, so that you have this feeling that you want to feel now, proud of your children, joyful, grateful, that it's all worked out with peace of mind. That feeling, create it in your childhood first. Create it in your childhood first, and then you can imagine it with your children now, because then your childhood matches up with what you want now. So there's no contradiction there. And then with future pacing, what fits in with what we do, what we found more powerful, once you've done that, is to then, instead of just future pacing, you want to pre-pave with the superpower. So then you want to think of your children and whatever it is that's worrying you, and you want to get to the point where you're able to think of that and love it exactly as it is. The way Sue described earlier with her son, where you're able to think of them and feel love regardless of whether they are, the way you wish they would be or not, regardless of whether there's peace of mind or not, whatever's there, just love exactly as it is without expectation. But that's going to be really hard to do until you've changed your childhood. And you may need due justice as well. So use the allowing technique, then change the childhood memories and practice the new ones. And then you can do the pre-paving with the unconditional love. And watch this recording again for Sue's experience right at the beginning of how this helped with her son. All right, so I hope that helps, but if not, let me know if you need more suggestions or clarification, or you have more questions. All right, so Steve, anything in the
Yep,
chat?
we do have one question in the chat. Odile just mentioned about bookmark your progress. I'm journaling a lot through this childhood memory journey, but I'm afraid if I want to follow my progress, I'll end up being attached to specific results. Any advice on that?
Okay, so let me just read that again. Bookmark your progress. I'm journaling a lot through this. If I want to follow my progress, I'll end up being attached to specific results. So I'm not sure if I understand the question fully. So if I'm not answering what you're looking for, let me know. But my answer to this would be focus on the feelings. So it's okay to be attached to the feelings, the result feelings, but and the details are really only to produce those feelings. So using a touchstone can help. Steve, sorry, did you?
Yeah, you can unmute her.
Oh, great. Okay, who was it? Oh, yes. Okay. Hi, Sylvie.
Hi.
Hey. So so let me know what exactly you mean by that. So
I mean that I'm very, very talented to set objectives and goals, etc. And I have the feeling that if I have specific goals to find a new house, to find something very specific, I'll add some tension and it's counterproductive.
right.
And I was wondering whether I have to, if I want to bookmark my progress, maybe it's just bookmarking that I'm feeling better at the morning or this kind of things.
That's it. So yes, so you want to and this is for everybody, you want to hone in on the feeling of the end result. So for me, like I've used this example before. I didn't know what, I thought my life, for me to be happy, I thought I wanted something completely different to what I have now. And so when I got rid of those details and only boiled it down to, I love my life. That's all. Just, I love my life. And I focused on that, just that feeling of how much I love my life. Now, at first, I couldn't feel it because I certainly did not love my life at that time, but I just kept playing it over and over. I just kept saying it and conjuring up the feeling of loving my life. Now, if you need details in order to get the feeling going, that's okay. And then let go of the details and focus just on that feeling. So it's a moment in time that you will experience when you have whatever it is you want. And so let's say you mentioned a new house. So if you imagine that you get the new house, pretend you've got the new house, and then how will it feel? Pick a moment in time where you're going something like, oh, yes, I did it, or oh, I'm so grateful, whatever that moment is. And then take out the new house and just home in on that moment. You could be high-fiving someone, you could just be saying, I'm so happy, whatever that is, but make sure it's got strong feeling, or make sure it's got feeling. And then as you do it more and more, the feeling will get stronger and stronger. And that's the moment that you home in on, and you can let go of the details, because then you allow whatever's going to get you that feeling. And you may not have the ability to comprehend what that could be from where you are right now. Does that help, Sylvie?
Yes, really, because I had the tendency to bookmark how many childhood memories did I did again this day extra, and I was putting me under pressure to do X time per day, X time per week, etc. Right. And I have the feeling it's not good for me, because I'm putting tension and
that's it.
Very detailed objectives. I rather do a journal where I say, oh, today I woke up and I was happy.
Right. Yes, you can do that. And also you can just, you know, with new childhood memories, and I want to suggest this for everybody, is it's like when you remember anything, you know, oh, I remember when that was, you know, when we all went to the beach and that was fun. It's that. So yeah. It doesn't have to be regimented. It doesn't have to be a story. It doesn't have to have a storyline. It doesn't have to have details. So just it's exactly the same as remembering real fond memories, however you normally do that. Does that sound?
And being consistent also. And also being consistent in the
yes.
work.
And so what you can do is you can make a note. Let's say, you know, you have a journal, like you say, and you don't need to go into any details. You can put there, Mom and Dad hugging me. Or Mom and Dad's faces lit up when I walked in the room. And that's all, just to remind yourself. And then just while you're brushing your teeth, while you're doing household chores, just think of it like you think of anything. So we go about our days. As we're going about our days, our minds are very, very seldom in the moment. We are always either thinking about the future or the past. So this is not creating any extra time. It's replacing whatever you're thinking about now with thinking about things that will actually get you what you want. So as you're going about your day, when you notice, oh, I'm thinking about the terrible thing that happened, or something that I'm worried about, or I'm thinking about the politics, or I'm thinking about the terrible things that might happen, that's when you can replace with new childhood memories. So it's like training a dog, you know, to walk to heel. The dog is wanting to wander off over there and over here, and okay, heel, you just keep bringing the dog to heel, and eventually the dog will stay to heel. This is the same with your mind. Every time your mind wanders off to think about things you're worried about, things that you're upset about, things that trigger you, anything that's not positive, redirect your mind to a new childhood memory. And you don't have to do them all, just pick one. How does that sound?
Yes, thank you. And thanks again, because I see a huge difference in my life since the beginning of our course each day. It's really something amazing for me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sylvie, for sharing that. Thank you for letting us know. We really appreciate that, and we're thrilled to hear that for you. Good job.
I'll share my journal one day, and you'll see.
Yes, that would be lovely. We'd love to see it. Good job, you. All right, and then anything else, Steve, from the chat?
Just one quick little. Could you just speak to pre-paving? Just a quick question on what is pre-paving.
Sure. Yes, of course. So pre-paving is thinking of a future event that you are like. So let's say this is how I used to do it. So I would go to do a gig, and this is where I started using it. So I would be doing a gig tonight, and I would get into the state of unconditional love, so the superpower, and then I would think of where I'm going to be. And even if I'd never been to the place before, it didn't matter. I would just think of, that's the place I'm going to be, someplace. And so I would think of the place. I would imagine filling the whole venue with unconditional love, loving it all, no matter what. And I would imagine filling myself in that venue, that future self with the love, the light, the energy, loving myself no matter what. So I would imagine maybe I'll make a mistake, maybe I'll forget what I'm doing, maybe it'll all go wrong, and loving that me no matter what. And the same with everyone in the place. So, you know, I would just imagine there are people there. We don't know how many or who, but it doesn't matter. Just imagine filling all of them with the same love, this light, this energy, even if they hate me, even if they all walk out, even if nobody comes, love it all exactly as it is. And that's pre-paving. So I first taught it with Jessica, who was the teenage girl that right in the very beginning, she's in the book, with her going to school. She was being bullied at school. So what I didn't call it pre-paving then, but this is how the superpower worked for her. I said to her, before she goes to school, get into that state, and then imagine sending that light, that energy, that love to everyone in the school, the whole school, herself in the school, and everyone who's there, whether they bully her or not, whether they react the way they've always reacted or not. And her life completely turned around because of that. So she ended up not only not being bullied, but she was popular, she was getting, you know, good grades and all of that. So that's pre-paving, sending unconditional love to the place you're going to be or the people you're going to be with, no matter what they do or no matter how it turns out. So hopefully that clarifies. I see someone's described it in the chat. That's spot on. Perfect. Thank you. All right then. So Steve, was that everything? Okay, great. And let's go into the targeting. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. Very good. And start to feel your heart opening, that expansion feeling in your chest as that light, that energy shines out from you. Very good. And allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. And allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to fill your subject. And then imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you or doesn't have the qualities that you love and admire in them, appreciate in them. And keep them filled with that light, that energy anyway, no matter what. Very good. Now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with the same light, this energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa, just for existing. Good job. And then allow that light or energy to overflow from Lisa and fill her daughter. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa's daughter just for existing, no matter what. Very good. And now to Katrina. Fill Katrina with the same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. Very good. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with this same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti, just for existing. Good job. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Swasti and fill her exam, whatever happens with the score, all of those people involved. Fill all of them with this light, this energy, choosing and applying to uni, all of that, no matter what happens, shining this light into any darkness, loving it all anyway, loving everyone involved anyway, no matter what. No matter what the results, no matter what the experience is, loving it all exactly as it is. Very good. Good job. And now to Sue. Love Sue exactly as she is. Fill Sue with that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sue exactly as she is, just for existing. Good job. And now to Camilla. Fill Camilla with the same light, this energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Camilla, just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Camilla and fill her family, shining this light into any darkness and loving everything and everyone exactly as they are. Every experience, every event, every circumstance, every possible result, loving it all exactly as it is, shining this light into any darkness. Good job. Very good. And now to Sylvie. Fill Sylvie with the same light, this energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sylvie, just for existing. Very good. And now everyone who's off camera and those watching the recording, fill each one with the same light, this energy, this love. Loving each one just for existing, no matter what, no judgments, no expectations. Very, very good. Good job. And now think of yourself later today, wherever you'll be, whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be experiencing. This is the pre-paving bit. Fill that version of you with the same light, this energy, loving you exactly as you are, no matter what, that version of you. And allowing that light, that energy to overflow and shine out from that future you and fill everything and everyone around you. Shining this light into any darkness and loving everything exactly as it is, no matter what. Very good. Good job. And Serge. Good. And Serge again. Very good. All right. You can open your eyes if you have them closed. And well done, everyone. Thank you all so much for for sharing your experiences, because it helps so many others. And you're very welcome to the private messages that are coming through. I'm thrilled that it's helpful. Good job, you. All right, everybody. So we will see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Keep practicing. Keep re-watching these recordings as well. Even if you've watched them before, re-watch, because you'll get the information on different levels. And with YouTube, I don't know if you know, you can always watch fast speed. So if you want to do that. All right. So have a fantastic rest of your day. Lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye now.